wrongfully convicted of 2 murders and spending 12 years in prison. With the help of your lawyers and probably an innocence project, you petition the courts to review your wrongful conviction. After years and years, you finally get a hearing to prove your innocence. The judge agrees and declares you factually innocent and orders your release from prison. You exit the courtroom to cheers of family and friends and your legal team. You're surrounded by TV cameras, reporters, and photographers, all of whom will tell your story to the public. You're a bit of a local celebrity for a few days, but after the excitement of your exoneration dies down, you have to get on with the business of creating a new life for yourself. You try to find an apartment, but when you apply, the background check shows your conviction and prison term. Your application is denied. You apply for a job, same thing. You go to register to vote. You're told felons can't vote. As you try to rebuild your life, the record of your wrongful conviction blocks you at every turn. The new beginning you won with your exoneration is going to be harder than you thought. And this is what every wrongfully convicted person faces when they get out of prison. I'm Nikki Pope, and I work with people who have been wrongfully convicted and exonerated. Working with the Northern California Innocence Project for 11 years, I saw firsthand how difficult it is for exonerees to reclaim the lives that were taken from them by our criminal justice system. In 2015, I co-authored Pruno Raman and A Side of Hope, a book profiling the lives of 10 exonerees. In 2018, I co-founded the Pruno Fund, a nonprofit organization that helps exonerees with emergency grants and public speaking training. Not everyone can do this, but everyone can help make one very important change happen. We all agree that sending an innocent person to prison is wrong, sometimes with incredible effort. A wrongfully convicted person wins the fight to prove their innocence and is released from prison. The presiding judge might wish the person good luck in rebuilding their life after prison, but in most cases, this wish is hard to fulfill. People trying to re-enter society after prison face many hurdles. Some are insurmountable and lead to recidivism, and the person ends up back in prison. For someone who was wrongfully convicted, we can easily eliminate a major roadblock by expunging the records related to their wrongful conviction. Consider the experiences of a California exoneree who, after more than 2 years of working to get his record expunged, found out that despite those efforts, he still had a criminal record. One day, he was stopped for a minor traffic violation. The police ran a check, and his prior wrongful conviction for 10 armed robberies came up, and he was arrested and held until his mom called a friend to intervene. The friend was married to the California Secretary of State, and through that connection, her son's record was finally expunged. Most exonerees don't have that kind of connection, and it's up to us to ensure we help them realize the promise of a new beginning. There are 3 common misconceptions about people who have been wrongfully convicted. The first misconception is that wrongful convictions are rare. Studies estimate that approximately 5% of people in US prisons are actually innocent. This means 1 in every 20 criminal convictions results in an innocent person going to prison. With about 2.3 million people serving time in our prisons, 115,000 of them are likely to be innocent. In January 2022, there were more than 5,000 new convictions in the United States, which means over 250 of them are likely to be innocent. And that's just in 1 month. The second misconception is that all exonerees receive financial compensation for their wrongful conviction. Some do, but most don't. And for many of those who receive compensation, the award isn't enough for them to live on without another source of income, which might be hard to get with a criminal record. A Mississippi death row exoneree received a little over $30,000 after spending 6 years in prison. That's only $5,000 for every year she was locked up. According to the Innocence Project, 35 states and the District of Columbia have compensation laws, but most aren't doing an adequate job of compensating the wrongfully convicted. Only 9 states grant awards of more than $50,000 for every year spent behind bars. And surprisingly, being exonerated is not enough to get compensated. One California man spent 20 years in prison before a court exonerated him. Then he spent another 10 years in court before the city of San Francisco agreed to settle and compensate him for his wrongful conviction. Some states also require that the government grant clemency or a pardon or additional hearings to prove the exoneree's factual innocence. In other words, even in states with a compensation award system, an exoneree still might be denied compensation. The third misconception is that a wrongful conviction record is corrected when a person is exonerated. This correction does not happen automatically. The exoneree or their representative has to make a request and probably follow up that request a number of times to ensure it happens. Remember the California exoneree who used a family connection to the Secretary of State to get his record expunged? This process can take some time and can be expensive, a challenge if you don't get a compensation award and can't find a job. It's a vicious cycle. You can't afford to pay to get your record expunged, and you can't get a job until your record is expunged. My idea is simple. When a judge orders an exoneration, she should also make the prosecution and law enforcement agencies expunge the wrongful conviction as part of the person's exoneration and release. This seems easy, but it needs people like us to demand our government make this change. Expunging a criminal record gives an exoneree a clean slate, a new start. As of November 2022, only 8 states have clean slate laws: Pennsylvania, Utah, Michigan, Connecticut, Delaware, Oklahoma, Colorado, and most recently, California. If you don't live in one of those states, you can help by petitioning your state government to pass a clean slate law. There's an organization called the Clean Slate Initiative that builds coalitions to pass clean slate laws. It's a great place for you to start. You can also reach out to an Innocence Project in your area. They have connections to people working on expungement initiatives in your state and can put you in touch with them. For exonerees, clean slate laws work best when the expungement is automatic upon exoneration from a wrongful conviction. If your state has a clean slate law, find out if expungement is automatic when someone is exonerated. If expungement isn't automatic, start petitioning your state government to make that happen. Our justice system has caused enough harm to innocent people. The least we can do is make it easier for them to get that fresh start. When we promise a new beginning to a wrongfully convicted person, we must all work together to keep that promise. Thank you.